Well, here we go again. I'm gonna actually do. I wanted to do another video here. I wanted to actually get down and talk about some issues seriously. About a very important topic, of course. And I think it actually, again, it affects all of us pretty much from all walks of life, even whether or not you're saved or unsaved. Claiming God or not claiming God. As your personal Lord and Savior. But it's the issue regarding attitudes. One of the main things out of everything that we can control in this life, attitudes, I should say, is one of those things that we can control. It's one of those things that we actually have the ability to improve, to change, to make better, to pretty much manipulate to fit whatever situation that we find ourselves into. But one of the main things that we have to understand is the importance of actually displaying the proper attitude when we're actually out and about in society, at work, home, school, wherever you may be, where you are actually in contact with other folks. See, one of the things about it is that attitudes is one of those things that we can't really touch, but we actually can see. And one of the things about this particular part of living is that this can actually cause people to want to do for you, and actually it can actually close a lot of doors to, for you as far as future opportunities, depending on how you actually display your attitude. One of the main things that, I guess one of the important lessons in life is that in order for you to actually get to where you want to be in life, you actually have to be able to display the proper attitude. For most folks, that seems like common knowledge, but you would be surprised at some people that really think that things are still supposed to happen to them, that good things are supposed to still happen to them, and prosperous things are supposed to happen to them, even though they display a nasty disposition. See, it's so funny that you actually even have to talk about something like this, because again, you would think that common sense will tell you, in order for me to actually experience the goodness and the glory of what life has to offer, I have to be able to display the proper attitude, so it would actually promote that sort of reaction towards me, as far as being able to experience the good things in life. But you would be surprised that, again, you have some people, especially in today's society, where it glorifies bad behavior. You would think that this wouldn't be something that would need to be taught or what have you, but with so many influences that's going on in society today, it's just so funny that one would have to actually even sit down and actually even take the time to even want to ponder why the attitudes and why attitude is so important both in and out of the fellowship of Christ. First of all, again, when you're living for God, it's important that you display the proper attitude that would actually draw folks to you. You have a lot of people, that comes from different walks of life, have different personalities and everything like this. But the main thing about it is that in order for people to be drawn to you, you actually have to show that you are actually humble. And see, one of the main things is that these days, folks, when you're talking about humble, nobody wants to actually be humble because they look at that as a point of being weak. And see, one of the main things that we have to understand is that when you're actually humbling yourself down, it doesn't mean anything about you being weak. It's that you're being smart and you're being observant and you're being knowledgeable to know what it's going to take in order for you to get whatever it is that you're after. One of the main things that we have to understand is that, again, people with, bad attitudes don't really get that far in life. And the reason being, again, is going back to the humble factor. When you have a nasty attitude, it pretty much displays to people that, first of all, I don't care. It doesn't matter how you feel about a situation. It's all about me. And see, with those type of people, I have to say that they are very dangerous type folks to hang around, because again, they are the types of people that, always have something negative to say. They don't have anything positive to bring to the table, and they always feel the right and the need to criticize. One of my main lessons and actually models in life is that if I don't have anything good to say, first of all, I'm not going to say anything at all. And I'm definitely not going to criticize someone if I don't have an idea or a solution to make a situation better. But you would think, again, that that's common knowledge, that that's common sense. But the way this world operates this day and time, with it having low morals and pretty much glorifying all of the negatives in life, you would think that it's just something that you wouldn't really come to really have to talk about. But again, keeping on the topic at hand, attitudes. Attitude is everything. Attitude can make you. Attitudes can break you. Again, you don't have to have, come from a, prestigious background in order to, make it in life. Sometimes, just actually displaying the proper attitude will actually open doors for you to get into areas where too few people will be able to even get into. Again, a lot of people don't understand, the importance of displaying a proper attitude. Attitude, again, makes a lot of things, it puts a lot of things in motion. It actually, it brings, positivity in your life. It also allows you to be able to connect and make, social, connect with people who, again, you may not never get the chance to ever meet, And it's just one of those things that it's something that's so small, but it actually has such a big impact on how we live. Again, negative folks, and I keep going back to negative folks and negative attitudes because that's pretty much what we see every day in society. We see people behaving badly. We see all of these type of attitudes. We see the I don't cares, and all this other type of stuff here. And I'm like, why is there a need for it? And then when you turn around and you think that you have it all and you figure out that you don't have it all, and then you go to try to get this thing and you display this nasty disposition, folks are not going to want to do anything for you. The main thing that they're going to do is actually turn their backs and actually tell you, okay, you need to take that attitude and check it somewhere else because it gets nothing here. I've actually had to turn away a lot of people from maybe helping a lot of people to get to certain areas in life because, again, it's the way it's their disposition. It doesn't take a lot, and you don't have to be a smart person to actually be able to show that you're in need of help. There's nothing wrong with actually being in need of help, but it's all about how you approach someone who actually have in order for them to help you. I'm not saying that I have everything that I, am the answer to all of the world's issues and things, but again, if I'm actually able to help someone, and I have the resources to help someone with something, I'm going to do that. But the thing about it, we have to get something straight, that even though I'm a child of God and God requires me to help, if I'm able to, you first of all got to display the proper attitude so I can help you. And see, one of the main things about it is that's where, a lot of people really gets this whole thing mixed up. I cannot understand for the life of me why the world have this misconception of the saints and the people that's trying to follow and live right to say that they're supposed to sit there and help, even though it's like I can almost treat you any kind of way, but you have to turn around and help me. Yes and no. Me personally, one thing that and the way that I handle that is that, again, and I love to educate people because it's all about education. Yes, I am required to help you. But you have to understand one thing about it, is that before God and everything else, you have to understand that I am human. Which means that the Holy Ghost doesn't dwell with me at all times 24/7. Which means that I can react to you according to the flesh. Just because I'm claiming to live, saved, sanctified, and healed of the Holy Ghost, that doesn't mean that I'm going to always bend over backwards to help someone when they give me their behind to kiss. Because see, sometimes people have to really understand and really dish out what they give you. Not to say that you're repaying evil for evil, that sort of thing, because I don't believe in that. That's not what I'm talking about. But some folks actually have to learn and actually have this whole thing thrown back in their face so they can see how it feels. So they'll actually be able to understand and appreciate, okay, when I do decide to help you, you're going to grab a hold to that and understand and appreciate what I've just done for you. Again, this sense of, being able to treat Christians any kind of way simply for the fact that they're there and they have to turn the other cheek. Yeah, but again, you have to understand too, the tables will turn, and and it's not going to always be that way with everybody, because you have some Christians that are very stern, and they don't mind getting down and getting in your behind and let you know how much of a stank attitude you have and that you need to adjust it if you want help. And I love those type of people because, again, they are real. They are up in your face, and they will let you know what it's all about and what you need to correct in order to get what you're asking for. It's no different when you're dealing with God. Anytime you're talking about, wanting to get something from God, you have to humble yourself and display the proper attitude. It doesn't matter, that the fact about that God knows all and sees all and understands. Yes, he does. But you have to understand something too. Before you can actually approach God, you have to come before him correct. You can't just step to God any kind of way and expect for him to do something. It doesn't work like that. Because see, one thing about it is that we're patterned after God, which means that God has feelings as well. We have them. We got them from him. But one thing about it is that the same way that we would react when somebody steps to us with a nasty disposition and request something, the first thing we're going to want to do is step back and first of all ask this person, okay, first of all, you need to adjust your attitude. I'm not going to give you anything even though I have the ability to. You need to check yourself. And I don't mind telling someone that. Check yourself. Okay? You're missing something. Check yourself. You know, it's nothing wrong with actually telling someone that when the appropriate time comes, but we have to understand that your attitudes, that's pretty much what's going to make a lot of things happen for people, and it's also going to close a lot of doors for people because they haven't yet mastered on how to manage their attitudes. Another issue that I actually wanted to bring about, you know, that's really important that I think as far as, you know, the attitude concept is the fact of this, I guess, concept of actually being entitled to something. You know, I cannot tell you pretty much of, you know, how much I actually deal with folks, for the most part, you know, in and out of church, you know, and, you know, in and out of work, that feel that they're entitled to something based because of, I guess, who they are or what level of achievement they may have, you know, their personal backgrounds and this, that, and the other. And see, these type of people, again, I love to talk to them because, again, it not only educates me, but it also lets me know pretty much how I relate to other folks and how much I'm actually able to take off of other folks. See, one thing about it is that, you know, and it's not the fact that you're calling people snooty and stuff like that, because you can't really deny what you see. But see, the thing about it is that, again, it's all about putting things in its proper perspective. When I deal with folks that have entitlement issues, first of all, you have to really understand where this stuff is actually coming from. Because you have some people that actually come from a privileged background that feel that, okay, since I know whoever, my daddy is a senator and this, that, and the other, or this, you know, or they may have relatives that may hold high positions in society, they feel that that prestige trickles down to them. So that means that they are actually entitled to get the same privileges that their quote-unquote father or mother may have gotten just because of who they are. But see, these type of people are wrongly and actually going through life all messed up. And see, one thing about it is that when life actually tends to really lay its foundation down and lay it in their behinds and let them know, okay, I don't care who you are, you have to earn your take just like the next person have to, that's when it begins to have a problem. That's where you have people that are wanting to, you know, give up on life, wanting to commit suicide and all this other type of stuff, because they haven't been taught that, first of all, their parents, you know, achievements and everything else does not mean that it equals them and what they're entitled to. I am quick to tell folks that, again, and you look at a lot of people in Hollywood and celebrities and stuff, and you see them talk, you know, laying down the foundation of their children, you know, so their children can actually follow in the footsteps that they followed in, or whatever the case may be. But see, one of the main things about it, again, is that there's nothing wrong with actually laying down a foundation so your children can actually follow you, you know, and have a great life, you know, what have you. But they have to understand something. And they have to really teach today's children the fact of, you know, what it means to actually have something and to work hard for something. Because these days, you have children now that don't want to work for nothing. And I'm going to go ahead and say it like that. They're lazy. They don't have any morals. They're very disrespectful. And they actually despise wisdom. And see, one of the main things about it is that, again, wisdom will actually keep you in check and will actually tell you and actually, you know, have you focus on how you come off to other folks. But again, this is not something that is really wanting to be talked about or discussed today, because again, this is something that will prolong and actually help them in life, which is not something that most people would want to listen to in this day and time, with the morality that's going out there, having people acting like pure idiots. But again, you know, there's nothing wrong with laying a foundation for, you know, a child to actually have, so, you know, they won't have to, quote unquote, go through the rough times like you did or whatever. But they have to understand, and a message has to be drawn, and a line has to be drawn, a point has to be made, that even though you are getting this and you don't have to work as hard as I had to do to get this, you got to understand there are still rules that needs to be followed. Because again, even though the carpet may be laid out for these folks, that does not mean that society is still going to accept them like they did their fathers and forefathers or whatnot. They have to understand something. You still have to work and prove yourself just like they did. Again, there is no handouts. It may be a hand up, you know, to help you so you won't have to struggle as much, but you still have to work. You still got to work to eat. It's no different. And see, one thing about it, that with this entitlement things, you have a lot of people, young folks especially, having the wrong attitude about life and about how they relate to other folks. It's a shame, and it really boggles my mind. You still have people these days that actually think that you're supposed to come to their beck and call when they snap their fingers. And I'm like, excuse me, but who do you think you are? Who told you that you are a king or a queen? The last time I checked, you know, you are working at the same job that I am, behind a desk, you know, working for a paycheck. So again, I don't know what entitles you to think that you're above someone just because you have a little title. And see, that's one of the main things that is like the destruction of most folks, is that when they come from, I guess, having little, and God allows that door to open where they're actually able to achieve more, they begin to get the big head, like, okay, that, like, as if they were actually born with this. And I think that's the really reason why success is given such I think it has such a bad name in most cases, because again, it's the attitude that goes behind it. Again, we're still keeping it in the realm of attitude, but it's just the fact that, again, there's nothing wrong with laying down a foundation, but they have to be reminded to understand that even though the foundation is laid, it doesn't still mean that it's a clear cakewalk for you, because you're going to still have to work. You're going to still have to prove yourself just like the next person. And see, one thing about it too, you have a lot of people that rely on their educational background, just because they may have gone to Harvard or some other prestigious school, that have a very reputable reputation in society, of graduating, future CEOs and presidents and such. They figure that since they came from that school, that automatically they don't even have to put in a job application. They don't have to go and put their, feet to the metal and go out looking for a job, because they figure that once I graduate, I'm on easy street. These day and time, I'm sad to say, but I don't think that that's the case, and that's not really a productive attitude to have, because again, nothing is guaranteed. It was never guaranteed in the beginning, but now we actually see more of this now. You actually have people that have PhDs that are working at Pizza Hut, that are doing, and I mean, I actually read a news article one time where there was a guy, who had a PhD, and he could not even find a decent job. He actually had to go and deliver pizzas in his Mercedes. And see, one thing about it is that I was like, I could not believe this. Am I reading the right article? What's going on here? Again, the entitlement issue. Just because you were able to achieve a level of attainment that so few people were able to get, that does not entitle you to anything, because you're still going to have to work to keep whatever it is that you're trying to stay in. And that's just the basic formula of life. That's a basic reality of life. It's your attitude, babies. It's your attitude. It doesn't matter what you are able to achieve in life. It's the attitude once you get it. You have some people that once they achieve success, you cannot really stay around them, because it's like their ego is out of this world. It's like you can't even stay in the same room with these people, because again, their ego is like there's no more room. It's them, and that ego is like it fills the room. And I've run across a lot of people like that. I mean, like I say, both in and out of school, when I was in school, in and out when I was in the military. I mean, I know, and it's like I'm not a stranger to these type of folks. And the funny thing about it is that, and the beautiful part about it is that, again, you learn how you get along with other folks. When you're placed in situations like that, you learn how you would deal with people who execute those type of personalities. And that's the main thing about it, again, is that you learn a lot about yourself when you're dealing with folks that think that, okay, I've gotten to this level here, okay, you have to do what I say. I don't think so. It doesn't work like that. Because you have to remember, to make you look good, you still have to rely on me, okay? And it wasn't too long ago that you were with me as far as on an equal playing field. Now, just because you got a little promotion or whatever you want to call it, you better make sure and maintain yourself, because, again, you got to remember something. It's the little guys that make the big guys look good. So if you want to really piss somebody off, so to speak, and they want to get back at you, all they have to do is not produce. And next thing you know, you're going to have to get off your behind and do some work for a change. But again, rolling on and going on with the theme here, what's going on here is, again, you have some people, again, who think they're entitled based on the type of job they have. I guess the most famous occupation to have these days is what? On Wall Street. Making all of these six-figure salaries and all this type of thing here. But again, you never know. Things can happen. Society may crumble. We know, like I say, with 9/11, when the terrorists came in and actually, violated our freedoms. They came in there and they really shook America. They hit us in the heart of what makes this country run, and that's New York City, Wall Street. And I mean, all the financial markets, I mean, everything, it just went haywire, and it took a while to get back, and actually, to tell you the truth, we're still not really back to where we were before before the terrorist attacks. But again, it just goes to show you, nothing is actually safe or recession proof. Again, you have some people that go around, and make fun of folks as if their job is always going to be there. And if you really think about it, in theory, we are all one paycheck from the unemployment line. Because again, there is no entitlements here. And a lot of people really have to understand that and know that. And really accept it and know it in our spirits that, first of all, again, even though we know that God is here to take care of us, sometimes things happen where our foundations have to be shaken and a lesson has to be learned. Sometimes things happen because we have to be brought down a peg or two to know, okay, even though you had this, look at how you treated people. Look at how you despised folks just because they didn't have what I allowed you to have just for that little bit. And see, one thing about it, again, is that when life throws you that curveball and then it hits you right in the gut and then you turn around and you lose these things, then the light bulb goes off and now you're sitting up there reflecting, goodness gracious, I was a monster when I had all of that. I don't understand how people was able to put up with me. I was just, cruel when I really didn't have to be. Again, life is all about learning. But you have to understand something. In life, again, there's a lot of lessons to be learned. And a lot of those lessons to be learned has a lot to do with your attitude. Again, I would say maybe about 85% of a lot of things that we go through in life is because of our attitude. A great deal of it really does have a lot to do with our attitude. How we look at a situation, how we relate to other people, how we talk to folks when we're upset, how we deal with different situations. It's all related and has the same common element of the attitude factor. But again, that's just, me going on and on. But again, it's the truth. You can't deny the truth. And again, keeping on with this whole thing with the attitude, again, with the way that that we as African Americans are portrayed in society, here we go again, where we're being portrayed as some of the most difficult people to deal with because of how we relate to one another and, of course, other genders and other races and such. It breaks my heart really sometimes to even see, because again, I sit down, I read articles, I do YouTube, I enjoy these type of things because, again, just because people make it bad doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. So I like to use YouTube to look at videos and such and see how America actually sees us as African Americans. And you would be surprised at some of the things that that they call us, based on the fact of of the attitude and what we give to society. One of the main things that I don't understand, and I am so cautious to tell folks, is that society is going to give to you what you give to them. If you're always giving to them, the snapping of the fingers, the waving of the hands, the this, that, and the attitude, I'm strong, black, independent, and all this other mumbo jumbo that we already know and hear all the time, pretty much they're going to clown you on that, and they're going to portray you like that in the media. And this is especially true for the black woman. Again, the attitude factor. When I was looking through YouTube, going through YouTube and just looking at, different videos and such, and why you have so much, I guess, interracial dating and such like that, which is, there's nothing wrong with it because you fall in love with whoever you fall in love with. But the interesting part about it is that a lot of the black men said, for the most part, they didn't want another black woman because, number one, and it was like the most unanimous vote of all, the attitude factor. Black women have too much attitude. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing. It's not the fact that, for the most part, that the black man didn't want to, develop a relationship with the black woman. It's the fact that they did not want to have to put up with the attitude. And see, one thing about it is that, again, attitude can draw people to you, and it can actually draw people away from you. See, one of the main things that I actually constantly, portray to young folks, and I love to educate young folks about just what life is all about. I'm not an old person, but again, I've, been through a lot of things, not bad things, but I actually been through a lot of educational things through the course of living to really shape me into the person that I am now, to really be able to relay important information over to other folks so they'll know pretty much what to watch out for in life. But one thing that I always try to educate folks is that it doesn't matter how you look on the outside. You can have all of the shape, curves, all the muscles, the abs, and everything else. I mean, Hollywood can just be Googling and goggling all over you because you're a beautiful human being, physically from the outside. But if you have a nasty attitude, you don't know how to talk to folks, you're very stuck up, it's like you're too full of yourself, nobody is going to want to hang around you for too long. Yeah, they may stay with you for a little while to try to figure out why you are the way you are, and they may even try to, stay along with you to help you to try to get to inside the mind to see why do you have to act like that. But sooner or later, they're going to turn around and they're going to up and leave, because it's like, why in the world would you want to hang around somebody who is just ornery and think that they know it all and really has such an arrogance about them? And I mean, that's the number one complaint for black women. But now, if you're rolling it on again to the black man, again, you have the attitude factor with them as well. But see, it's on a different area. You have this whole thing with the thug image, and see, one thing about it is that's one thing that I do not like about the black man for the most part. And again, I'm speaking, and I'm not coming against other, so much speaking against black men, because I'm a black man myself. But it's just certain things that I've actually noticed, again, that it really tends to irk me, because again, we as black men, we don't have to behave and act like the thugs that the media portrays us to be. Again, anytime you see, a black man, the first thing they're not going to really picture in their minds the educated, sophisticated, hardworking man that wants to provide for his family. The first thing they're going to actually, for the most part, is going to actually conjure up in their minds is the image of, rap and all this other type of stuff, where the music that you're listening to happens to portray a certain persona, if you will, of what black culture is all about. And this is actually true for both, for both black men and black women. I guess I'll just intermingle it all in there or whatever, but the case may be. But again, the music, again, that's being played on the radio these days, it doesn't do anything but glorify stupidity. I don't want to get too far off the subject, but I guess I'll stick with this for a while. But anyway, the music. It wasn't too long ago where music actually meant something, where it actually promoted positivity. It actually it was something that actually stimulated the senses. It was a point of just relaxation, and just actually informational. But now today's music is all about, going out and getting yours, going out calling women out their names, whores, bitches, all these type of things. But yet still, that's what's considered to be acceptable in today's society as far as the African American community. And again, and even if you think about it too, even in the Caucasian community as well, because one thing about it, that they've actually taken a liking to this particular lifestyle as well, and culture of, and they've actually adopted as part of their own too. So now you have a lot of these, influences that are going out there, and they're actually wanting to know why they can't get anything out of life, why nobody don't want to give them a chance, why they can't get a record deal, this, that, and the other. The music that they listen to actually influences them and gives them a certain persona, really, that no one really wants to be bothered with. I mean, it's like you can take a person that's just so humble or whatever the case may be, and it's like you can sit there and actually feed them different types of music, and next thing you know, and it's like your mood influences you as far as, or I should say, the music influences you as far as the mood and the images that are being portrayed in there, and the message that's being, given to the hearer. These days, again, you have a lot of music that's teaching, young boys how to go out there and exploit women, how to go out there to make money, how to go out there to, to just pretty much do everything that is really unbecoming of a young gentleman. And it's no different from the women too. And the funny thing about it is that the women actually glorify and actually perpetuate this by getting up there and shaking all that they have when they're doing these videos. And really, to tell you the truth, it's an insult for both the black man and the black woman, and even for the white man and the white woman, because again, it's not all black, because you have white folks that are into this type of stuff too. And then again, with all of this, these messages that are being given through this type of music, the attitudes that are being portrayed in the music, it's like, okay, fine, I don't have to respect you, I don't have to respect you, I can just go out there and do what I want, and people are going to have to, take what I dish out. Again, giving them a different attitude about life. And next thing you know, after they put the music away, after they go back and actually get into the real world where they have to deal with actually everyday common folk, next thing you know, they'll mess around and say the wrong thing and get their teeth knocked out of their mouths. I'm just keeping it real, because again, this is a real issue. It doesn't matter in and out the church. It's a real issue, and it's something that needs to be dealt with. But again, continuing on with this, again, with the influence now with this music that's actually infiltrated the brains, Next thing you know, it influences how we actually, I guess, relate to one another and how we want to appear to one another. And then that's where you have this whole persona with the sagging pants. And the one thing about it is that for the life of me, I do not understand why someone would consider this something somewhat as being attractive. To me, that's an insult really in itself. It's like, first of all, you're insulting yourself. You're disrespecting yourself. Because number one, if you knew what the origins of these sagging pants was all about, really, really, I would think that a lot of these folks that are doing this would be so embarrassed that they will actually run to a belt. But see, these days, it's not all about being educated. It's all about being cool, wanting to fit in with society, having to portray an image, an attitude that you didn't normally have, that you've been influenced by based on what you're listening to. And of course, the crowds of people that you hang around and who you entertain. That's why it's not smart to entertain everybody, because everybody is not your friend. But anyway, you're going around now with all of these different types of clothing where, people are having to look at the crack of your behind. And it's like one time I think I actually had to even offer someone, look, here's my belt. Here, take my belt. I'll somehow get home and I'll have to, it's like, take my belt. Just please pull your pants up. Because it's already bad enough that society disrespects you because, again, of who you are. But it's also double offensive when you disrespect yourself in the process. When you teach other folks in society to disrespect you, and then you turn around and want to throw an attitude to say why you won't be given a chance, first of all, look at how you're treating yourself. It doesn't matter. That style really is an insult. It does not promote anything. It doesn't add to. All it does is take away from who you are. And again, it doesn't really also affect the men. It also affects the women too, because again, it has them dressing like sluts and whores, and they actually have them behaving like one too. Come on, you have grown women that are sitting up there trying to, go to clubs and trying to be young again, trying to slip into things that they know they can't fit in. That are 2 sizes too small, all because of the influence of music and all this other type of stuff. It gives them the attitude that, I can be sexy and all this type of stuff. I can shake what I have too. You look like a full-blown idiot. And again, the most saddest part about this whole thing is that all of this filters down to the children. They even have children now that are sitting out there walking around trying to portray a young thug image. And they don't even know what all of that is about. And you have these grown behind parents that are sitting up there dressing their children like this, thinking that that's cool and that that's cute, when all that they're doing is teaching them a message that it's okay to actually have an attitude at a young age. And they don't even know what life is all about. All they know is that they are existing. That's all they know. But yet still, when you have parents that know better and are raising children to develop the improper attitude about life and how they relate to one another, and next thing you know, all you're doing is setting them up for a disappointing life. Because again, life is going to turn around and get in their butts. All they have to do is just keep living, because they're going to mess around and display the wrong attitude at the wrong time, and next thing you know, they're going to either be dead or in jail. It's a sad existence. It's a sad future, but it's a real future if you don't change your attitude. But I'm going to go ahead and leave with this particular quote here, to kind of give you the importance of what attitude is all about. I'm not going to read it. I'm pretty sure that you all can read this for yourself and get the basic understanding. So that's all that I have for now. And again, as always, continue to be blessed until next time. Thank you.